The United States Census Bureau is a principal agency of the U.S. Federal Statistical System, responsible for producing data about the American people and economy. The Census Bureau's primary mission is conducting the U.S. Census every 10 years, which allocates the seats of the U.S. House of Representatives to the states based on the population. In addition to the decennial census, the Census Bureau continually conducts dozens of other censuses and surveys, including the American Community Survey, the U.S. Economic Census, and the Current Population Survey. Furthermore, economic and foreign trade indicators released by the federal government typically contain data produced by the Census Bureau. The Bureau's various censuses and surveys help allocate over $400 billion in federal funds every year and help states, local communities, and businesses make informed decisions. The Census Bureau is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and its director is appointed by the President of the United States. Legal mandate. The Constitution of the United States directs that population be enumerated at least once every 10 years and the resulting counts used to set the number of members from each state in the House of Representatives and, by extension, in the Electoral College. The Census Bureau now conducts a full population count every 10 years in years ending with 0 and uses the term decennial to describe the operation. Between censuses, the Census Bureau makes population estimates and projections. In addition, census data directly affects how more than $400 billion per year in federal and state funding is allocated to communities for neighborhood improvements, public health, education, transportation, and much more. The Census Bureau is mandated with fulfilling these obligations, the collecting of statistics about the nation, its people, and economy. The Census Bureau's legal authority is codified in Title 13 of the United States Code. The Census Bureau also conducts surveys on behalf of various federal government and local government agencies on topics such as employment, crime, health, consumer expenditures, and housing. Within the Bureau, these are known as demographic surveys and are conducted perpetually between and during decennial population counts. The Census Bureau also conducts economic surveys of manufacturing, retail, service, and other establishments and of domestic governments. Between 1790 and 1840, the census was taken by marshals of the judicial districts. The Census Act of 1840 established a central office which became known as the Census Office. Several acts followed that revised and authorized new censuses, typically at the 10-year intervals. In 1902, the temporary Census Office was moved under the Department of Interior, and in 1903 it was renamed the Census Bureau under the new Department of Commerce and Labor. The department was intended to consolidate overlapping statistical agencies, but Census Bureau officials were hindered by the subordinate role in the department. An act in 1920 changed the date and authorized manufacturing censuses every 2 years and agriculture censuses every 10 years. In 1929, a bill was passed mandating the House of Representatives be reapportioned based on the results of the 1930 census. In 1954, various acts were codified into Title 13 of the U.S. Code. By law, the Census Bureau must count everyone and submit state population totals to the U.S. President by December 31st of any year ending in a 0. States within the Union receive the results in the spring of the following year. Data collection. Census regions and divisions. The United States Census Bureau defines 4 statistical regions, with 9 divisions. The Census Bureau regions are widely used for data collection and analysis. The Census Bureau definition is pervasive. Regional divisions used by the United States Census Bureau: Region 1, Northeast Division 1, New England Division 2, Mid-Atlantic, Region 2, Midwest Division 3, East-North Central Division 4, West-North Central, Region 3, South Division 5, South Atlantic, Division 6, East-South Central Division 7, West-South Central, Region 4, West Division 8, Mountain Division 9, Pacific. Uses of census data: many federal, state, local and tribal governments use census data to decide the location of new housing and public facilities, examine the demographic characteristics of communities, states, and the USA, plan transportation systems and roadways, determine quotas and creation of police and fire precincts, and create localized areas for elections, schools, utilities, etc. Gathers population information every 10 years. Data stewardship. The United States Census Bureau is committed to confidentiality, and guarantees non-disclosure of any addresses or personal information related to individuals or establishments. Title 13 of the U.S. Code establishes penalties for the disclosure of this information. All census employees must sign an affidavit of non-disclosure prior to employment. The Bureau cannot share responses, addresses or personal information with anyone, including United States or foreign government and law enforcement agencies such as the IRS or the FBI, or Interpol, providing quality data for public good while respecting individual privacy and, at the same time, protecting confidentiality is the Census Bureau's core responsibility. Keeping the public's trust is critical to the census's ability to carry out the mission as the leading source of quality data about the nation's people and economy. Only after 72 years does the information collected become available to other agencies of the general public. In 1918, the Census Bureau released individual information regarding several hundred young men to the Justice Department and Selective Service System for the purpose of prosecutions for draft evasion. During World War II, the United States Census Bureau assisted the government's Japanese-American internment efforts by providing confidential neighborhood information on Japanese Americans. The Bureau's role was denied for decades but was finally proven in 2007. The Census Bureau distributes data it collects via censuses and surveys on its American Fact Finder website. Ongoing surveys. A survey is a method of collecting and analyzing social, economic, and geographic data. It provides information about the conditions of the United States, states, and counties. Throughout the decade between censuses, the Bureau conducts surveys to produce a general view and comprehensive study of the United States' social and economic conditions. Staff from the current surveys program conduct over 130 ongoing and special surveys about people and their characteristics. A network of professional field representatives gathers information from a sample of households, responding to questions about employment, consumer expenditures, health, housing, and other topics. Surveys conducted between decades: American Community Survey, American Housing Survey, Consumer Expenditure Survey, Census of Governments, Current Population Survey, Economic Census, National Hospital Discharge Survey, National Health Interview Survey, National Hospital Ambulatory Medical Care Survey, National Crime Victimization Survey, National Ambulatory Medical Care Survey, National Nursing Home Survey, Survey of Income and Program Participation, Survey of Construction, Survey of Market Absorption, Survey of Program Dynamics, National Longitudinal Survey, National Survey of Fishing, Hunting, and Wildlife Associated Recreation 2001, American Housing Survey, Residential Finance Survey, National Epidemiologic Survey of Alcohol-Related Conditions, Annual Retail Trade Survey, Annual Wholesale Trade Survey, Annual and Quarterly Services Surveys. Other surveys conducted. The Census Bureau collects information in many other surveys and provides the data to the survey sponsor for release. These sponsors include Bureau of Justice Statistics, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Bureau of Transportation Statistics, Department of Housing and Urban Development, National Center for Education Statistics, National Center for Health Statistics, National Science Foundation, Social Security Administration. Organizational structure. Since 1903, the official census-taking agency of the United States government has been the Bureau of the Census. The Census Bureau is headed by a director, assisted by a deputy director and an executive staff composed of the associate directors. The Census Bureau has had headquarters in Suitland, Maryland, since 1942. A new headquarters complex was completed in 2007 and supports over 4,000 employees. The Bureau operates regional offices in 12 cities: Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City, Seattle, Charlotte, Atlanta, Dallas, Denver, and Los Angeles. The National Processing Center is in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Additional temporary processing facilities facilitate the decennial census, which employs more than 1 million people. The cost of the 2000 census was $4.5 billion. During the years just prior to the decennial census, parallel census offices, known as regional census centers, are opened in the field office cities. The decennial operations are carried out from these facilities. The regional census centers oversee the openings and closings of smaller, local census offices within the collection jurisdictions. The estimated cost of the 2010 census is $14.7 billion. On January 1, 2013, the Census Bureau was to consolidate its 12 regional offices into 6. Increasing costs of data collection, changes in survey management tools such as laptops, and the increasing use of multimodal surveys has led the Census Bureau to consolidate. The remaining regional offices will be in New York City, Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, and Los Angeles. The Census Bureau also runs the Census Information Center cooperative program that involves 58 national, regional, and local non-profit organizations. The CIC program aims to represent the interests of underserved communities. Computer equipment. The 1890 census was the first to use the electric tabulating machines invented by Herman Hollerith. For 1890 to 1940 details, see Truesdell, Leon E. The development of punch card tabulation in the Bureau of the Census, 1890 to 1940, with outlines of actual tabulation programs. USGPO. In 1946, knowing of the Bureau's funding of Hollerith and, later, Powers, John Mauchly approached the Bureau about early funding for UNIVAC development. A UNIVAC computer was accepted by the Bureau in 1951. Handheld computer. Historically, the census information was gathered via mailed forms. To reduce paper usage, reduce payroll expense, and acquire the most comprehensive list of addresses ever compiled, 500,000 handheld computers were used for the first time in 2009 during the address canvassing portion of the 2010 decennial census project. Projected savings were estimated to be over $1 billion. Security precautions. The HHC was manufactured by Harris Corporation, an established Department of Defense contractor, via a controversial contract with the Department of Commerce. Secured access via a fingerprint swipe guaranteed only the verified user could access to the unit. A GPS capacity was integral to the daily address management and the transfer of gathered information. Of major importance was the security and integrity of the populace's private information. Success and failure. Enumerators that had operational problems with the device understandably made negative reports. During the 2009 Senate confirmation hearings for Robert Groves, President Obama's Census Director appointee, there was much mention of contracting problems but very little criticism of the units. In rural areas, there was a problem with data transmission to and from the HHC, since the units were updated nightly with important changes and reprogramming. Operator implementation of proper procedure was imperative. Dramatic dysfunction and delays occurred if the units were not put into sleep mode overnight.